Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business, Friday edition. We made it to the weekend, of course, for the next 30 minutes. I'm Stephen McCollum, by the way, and for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the markets and the business world as a whole as we go into this weekend. Got some updates on what's happened over the tariffs, not just yesterday, but kind of a rehash of the whole week. That obviously affects the market. The inflation reports coming out affecting the markets as well. So we'll get you updated on all of that, plus local and national stories that you need to know. So let's get it started with that Market Watch. And let's see how today is. Kind of a mixed bag out there, but nothing too out of whack. Just nominal trading here today around the markets. And again, the big number next week, the big thing to watch next week is the Fed meeting, right? So S&P 500, NASDAQ hits a record today. S&P 500 has a winning week ahead of it, even though it is up only 7 points here as well. And the Fed decision is going to weigh on this market heavily from yesterday until next Wednesday when they announce rate cut or not rate cut out there as well. So something to pay attention to here as we go into next week. Right now, you see the Dow Jones is down the 193 points to 45,911. S&P 500 is up 7 points. Well, it just went to 6.90 points, 65.92. The NASDAQ, as I said, record for it again, 102 points up right now to 22,146. And then the Russell 2K, the small cap index, down 11 points here today, 2406. Bitcoin continuing its small march up, 115,874 for Bitcoin here today. Only up about 400 points total, but yesterday was trading in that low 114,000 range. So teetering on that 116 side of things for Bitcoin there. So it is a slow march up for Bitcoin going into next week as well with that Fed decision coming up. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. Well, let's look at Tesla, and we have a story on Tesla coming up here in this first segment as well. 6.87% up for Tesla here today. No announcements, no anything from Tesla out there. If you look at the whole week of Tesla, because we talked earlier about their pay package for Elon Musk, etc., but Tesla's up about 12% here over the last week. So Tesla's having some success on the markets, even though there's been no announcements since that pay package there for Elon Musk. But what could be happening with this stock, and we're going to see it with other stocks coming up as well, the expectation of the rate cut coming next week. Rate cuts mean lower interest rates, which mean people can afford cars that they couldn't afford before. People might be more interested in buying a car if rates are lower. Tesla's uptick here could be based off of that rate cut expectation next week. Next up, Joby Aviation. We talked about them earlier in the week. Well, they're in cahoots, I guess you could say, in business with Uber coming up. Well, they're up another 2.34% today here. Joby Aviation, if you don't know, do those electric vertical landing, takeoff and landing, basically the helicopters that you see that are going into service here to get people around town, a la Uber, getting involved with them for robo flight services. I forget what they called it there. Well, they're up 2.27% today because they said they would participate in a White House-backed pilot program to basically showcase the uses of this technology, the flying taxis out there of Joby Aviation. So they're going to participate in that. Market up 2.30% here for Joby Aviation. Been in the news twice this week with some positives for them. And then just a follow-up here for you. We talked yesterday. If we didn't show you the graph, I just told you that it was up 29% yesterday. Warner Brothers Discovery, as we're going to give you an update here. It's up another 17.87% here today on top of yesterday's 29% gain. This was all, I believe yesterday, the Wall Street Journal said it, but now CNBC is reporting as well that Paramount Skydance was preparing an offer for Warner Brothers Discovery. Remember, Warner Brothers Discovery was going to split into two different companies, streaming services, et cetera, in one, traditional television on another company, and they're going to split into two. Well, this package offer from Paramount Skydance would be for the whole company if that deal does go through. That expectation driving this stock up huge. 29% yesterday, 17.63% today so far for Warner Brothers Discoveries. When we come back later on and look at stocks for the last time this week, we're going to look at Pfizer and Moderna. Some movement in those stocks today based off of a White House rumor decision that could be coming out. And then Supermicro Computer, we're going to pay attention to as well here on this Friday. And of course, kind of want to update you on where we stand in the tariff situations out there. Well, the new news here is President Trump said he's lost patience and is losing patience as well, and lost it with Vladimir Putin, right? Russia's president out there. And he threatened Moscow with new economic sanctions in an effort to mediate that ceasefire talk between Russia and Ukraine, because nothing's happening with those ceasefire talks between those two countries. All right, so that threats are out there against Russia. Then if we go back to those other tariff news out there, right, the U.S. Treasury has called on G7 countries to hit China and India with those meaningful tariffs, for buying Russian oil. These are the ones that, Trump requested that they impose 100% tariffs on India and China. And this is all around. So now the Treasury Department's gotten involved in this, but this is all around those two countries buying Russian oil and allowing their economy, Russia, to fund that war against Ukraine as well. So the update there is Treasury Department's involved on that side of it. And then, to give some more updates, Trump said U.S. and India, they've agreed to resume trade negotiations. Of course, there's been a lot of back and forth between these two companies, a lot of accusations, tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, etc., because of that purchase of Russian oil and other things. We told you about that earlier in the week. So that's still happening, and that agreement to resume talks is still in place. And then, interesting enough, today, China came out. They urged Mexico to think twice, was their wording, before levying tariffs on China. So it's a warning that, of course, could signal China's readiness to retaliate over the additional tariffs from Mexico if they do it, because China does view this as giving into the demands of President Trump and his administration. Remember, there was talk of aluminum, steel, cars, tariffs going on to China. And the view is now internationally to appease Trump so Mexico can get better tariff deals with him and his administration as well. So China kind of coming back with a statement is there as well about Mexico doing that. So we have some open-ended tariff stuff out there. Just as an update here on this Friday going into the weekend. And I told you a little bit about this yesterday with the Bureau of Labor Statistics Department. Well, it is official. The Labor Department's Office of Inspector General did write to the BLS acting commissioner, named William Wojtrowski. He's basically informing the agency that the IG's office is, quote, initiating a review of the challenges that the Bureau of Labor Statistics, excuse me here, folks, and basically the troubles that they've encountered collecting and reporting closely watched economic data. We've talked about this. We've mentioned it with the revisions happening. So in that letter specifically, the IG noted that BLS announced to reduce data collection activities for the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, and the Producer Price Index, which of course is the PPI. It did add that the BLS recently issued that large downward revision of the estimate of new jobs in the monthly employment situation report. That was the downside of that 911,000 job revision here for 2024 into February of this year. Don't forget, Trump has already fired BLS Commissioner Erica McIntyre, I think is how you say it. That was after that July jobs report was weaker than expected and revised unemployment in May and June downward by 258,000 jobs. That's when he decided to change the head of that position. Trump, of course, he had used the word rigged on that report as well, accused the BLS of political bias also. So if you don't know, BLS routinely revises job data for the prior 2 months with each monthly jobs report it publishes. The reason why they do that, more samples come in after the deadline for the report to go out, right? Response rates, and this is an interesting factor, response rates to the initial survey Well, they haven't been getting as many. It's declined over the years, the response rate, and timely response rates have declined. That can obviously create volatility when revisions are made based on more complete data. If you don't get, if the initial numbers, surveys are coming back slower, not coming in as fast, that obviously is going to make a different number than when you get the complete data later on here. So I don't know how you solve that, but of course it's being looked into out there. And we talked about Uber in terms of Joby Aviation when we showed you their stock there. Well, Department of Justice is doing well. They're paying attention to Uber by themselves, right? On Thursday, yesterday. Well, they sued the Department of Justice sued Uber, alleging the ride-hailing company. Well, they discriminate against riders with disability, is what their accusations are in that lawsuit. The DOJ alleged that Uber and its drivers, quote, routinely refuse to serve individuals with disabilities, including individuals who travel with service animals or who use storable wheelchairs. And they say that the company imposes, quote, impermissible surcharges by charging cleaning fees related to service animals and then cancellation fees to riders they have unlawfully denied service, unquote. So this complaint, this lawsuit also alleges that drivers, quote, insult and demean people with disabilities, or they ask them inappropriate questions, unquote, is what the allegations say here. And that's the problem for Uber, right? Because they're just the parent company, independent contractors. So, they can control what drivers do by suspending them, etc. But this is an interesting situation here. Obviously, Uber said its community guidelines prohibit discrimination. And earlier this year, they announced a new feature to bolster the experience for riders with service animals. That does include a video for drivers to further explain the policy and the laws around moving people around with their service animals. The DOJ accused Uber of refusing to reasonably modify, was their word in the lawsuit, to policies and practices to avoid discrimination against people with disabilities. The federal government is seeking a jury trial, injunctive relief as well, monetary damages, and to charge Uber a civil fine for what it says are violations of the ADA, right? The Americans with Disabilities Act out there. So that is happening in that ride-sharing world with the Department of Justice. And then we looked at the Tesla stock earlier today. Well, here's the update here in a story. Because Elon Musk and Tesla, their stock has been doing well based around those robo-taxi sides of things. Well, now, is Elon Musk trying to pivot Tesla away from those electric vehicles and robo-taxis more toward the robot version of the company, right? They call them the humanoid robots. Skeptical investors, though, say there's no hiding from the stagnated sales and stock market valuation that leaves little room for errors here in the Tesla stocks, right? Sales are down on the cars. Robo-taxis are just getting started. Got to find sales somewhere here for Tesla. So, there's been a lot of eagerness around Tesla to transform them from a car maker into an artificial intelligence company, right? We know this about Elon Musk. Earlier this month, he declared on his platform X that about 80% of Tesla's value will be Optimus, which is that robot initiative that Tesla has out there. Obviously that's for the future side of things, like the robo-taxis are a little bit as well. So how does that work for today, right? Because Tesla's 2025 earnings, well, they're expected to be down about 30% when they do their year-end reporting coming up. So that robo-taxi business, still years away from turning a profit, just started, Austin, Texas, just started getting into that servicing and testing that out. And obviously, huge competition in that field as well, right? Waymo having a big head start over Tesla there. So is the switch here to focus on robots and kind of a smokescreen to hide some of these or kind of excuse some of the low volume sales there on the car side? Something to keep an eye on here with Tesla coming up in their future. And follow-up story here on everybody's favorite Southern restaurant. Cracker Barrel is just, you've never seen a company backpedal so fast in your life. Whew. Yeah, Cracker Barrel is now highlighting a series of changes that they are implementing in the wake of that huge backlash from customers over the last month and a half or so. We already know they changed their logo back to the original one, as you see on the screen, right? Well, now they say that they're going to go back to biscuit preparation in the restaurants as well, instead of shipping them in, where a lot of people have been complaining about how they're not fresh. And then also, they're going to get rid of a lot of their DEI programs that they've initiated over the years, which a lot of companies are moving toward that side. Cracker Barrel, they're going to announce the return of the homemade biscuits. They announced it actually yesterday, saying they will be, quote, rolled by hand and baked fresh throughout the day, unquote. Yeah, if you're shipping in biscuits, man, that's a big difference. Cracker Barrel, they said, quote, Cracker Barrel was built on biscuits. So when you told us our biscuits weren't the same anymore, we took it to heart. Yeah, we aim to serve the best food possible, starting with our biscuits. And from now on, our biscuits will be even better than you remember. Rolled by hand and baked fresh throughout the day. Come share a basket with us today. They were poets and didn't know it. Yes, for Cracker Barrel out there. If you're starting to cut costs with basic things that people love, shipping your biscuits in to save costs, you're managing on the backside of the P&L, and that's a dangerous way to operate your business out there. They also said they walked back policies regarding the various social justice issues they've been involved in. So both in events the company sponsors, but also in their hiring practice, they're moving back on. Cracker Barrel also says it'll no longer sponsor events that do not directly relate to business needs. That includes things like pride events, etc., in terms of what they'll support. The news comes, of course, right after Cracker Barrel announced it was going to walk back the plans for restaurant remodels. They did that earlier this week because of the backlash of the remodels and how stale and unimaginative they looked out there as well. They said that they only had remodeled 4 of the 660 locations at that time, and they said that will not continue. The models dropped the Americana decor chain that they're known for. They went to a more minimalist, modern look. Stale walls, hospital setting restaurants. That's what they went to. They did say they'll continue to invest in restaurant quality, putting a bigger focus on, quote, the kitchen and on your plate, unquote. That's the thing. They're too worried about the logo and the way the stores look, which you do need to have nice looking stores, but they also did all that while changing their food quality and everything. When you're a restaurant, what do people go there for? Food. When we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling here on this Friday. When we come back, we'll talk about an announcement that Governor Hobbs and the Arizona Commerce Authority did this week on Wednesday. More local stories as well. Last look at the market watch for the week. Check out Pfizer Moderna Super Microcomputer and what their stocks are doing today. So come on back. McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business, Friday edition. We made it to the holidays. I'm ready for the holidays, I guess, right? The weekend here coming up. Don't know what is wrong with me on this Friday. Of course, you just saw an ad there for the pit stop. Last night, Truck Series Race 2 of 3 for their first round playoffs happened over there at Bristol. Tonight, the Xfinity Series. Tomorrow night at Bristol as well will be the Cup Series coming up. Of course, my look-ahead show on a Wednesday is up there, Robat TV, on the YouTube page as well, and also the free podcasting system. Give it a listen if you're a racing fan out there. At a minimum, if you enjoy my work, at least like and subscribe to it, even if you don't listen to it, and help me get it out there for everybody. That's just kind of a fun passion project for me. Of course, this show live at 11 o'clock as well. I enjoy doing the business stuff out there, and I enjoy doing this show. We appreciate you catching us live at 11 o'clock. If you catch us on demand at Robat TV or on the YouTube page, thank you very much as well. And don't forget that YouTube page is free. Then, of course, the main event in the can for the week. Football heavy today. Of course, with NFL and college football this weekend, we do our picks. We talk about ASU and Texas State tonight, Friday night, Kansas State down there in Tucson, what to expect there. And, of course, Cardinals home opener on Sunday as well. Tune into that on demand at Robat TV on the YouTube page. It's being uploaded right now. Be up there around noon our time here today. And, of course, free podcast out there is already available for you to view on that as well. And we appreciate your support here on our programs. And let's get right back into it with that Market Watch. The focus now is what's the Fed going to do next week. I don't think we're going to see a lot of movement. I know we're not today. You can see everything's just kind of there. Even though the NASDAQ did move into those record territory, S&P 500 is going to end on a positive this week. But everybody's waiting for that Fed decision. So even Monday and Tuesday, I don't know how much movement we will see. But Dow Jones is down the 190 points right now. S&P 500 is up the 8 points. The NASDAQ's up the 106 points for it. The Russell 2K down 12 points right now. Bitcoin, well, up 660 right now. Crossed over into that 116,000 range. 116,208. for Bitcoin today, as that is slowly moving up as we get into that Fed decision next week for it. Stocks we're paying attention to. First one we're going to look at is Pfizer. Yes, obviously medical, right? COVID vaccines, etc. Down 3.56% here today. Let's also look at Moderna out there. COVID, right? Product did the vaccination down 7.37% today. And look at that drop off there. Kind of looks like the Grand Canyon in the graph there. Well, why are they both down big today? Well, the report came out early this morning that Trump administration health officials, well, they are planning to link COVID vaccines to the deaths of 25 children specifically. Both of those stocks are down today based off of that news. Obviously, big COVID vaccination and COVID vaccine companies there as well. So they are taking a hit as this day has gone on. You see right in the middle of the day, just boom, drop off for them. Then next up, super microcomputer of obviously artificial intelligence, server boxes, etc. Up 3% here today, 3.05. Well, they announced that it began volume shipments of its NVIDIA Blackwell Ultra solutions to their customers worldwide. So shipments are out on that. People are buying it like crazy, and they're getting them in their hands, and means revenue's coming in. So super microcomputer on that sales news, up 3.03% here for super microcomputer. Now let's get into some local stocks here as we finish up this Friday here on the program. And first, Governor Hobbs and the Arizona Commerce Authority, right, the ACA, they announced on Wednesday the opening of a new Arizona Trade and Investment Office over in Japan. This new office is part of the Arizona Commerce Authority. It's going to be located in Tokyo, the capital there of Japan, and it'll serve as a platform to increase economic collaboration and foreign direct investment opportunities, specifically between Arizona and Japan. By the way, Arizona is one of Japan's largest trading partners. I learned that by researching this as well. The Japan Trade Office, it marks the third Arizona Trade and Investment Office strategically located in Asia countries, advancing Arizona's global competitiveness in a key region for technology innovations. Companies operating in Arizona with headquarters or a presence in Japan, well, they span several industries, right? Semiconductor, automotive, mining, things like that. Companies, names, Fujifilm, Toyota Motors, North America, JX Advanced Metals, NRS Logistics America, Pentagon Technologies, and Komatsu. Also, those are all Japan companies operating here in Arizona. And Fujifilm has a big chemical plant out in our neck of the woods, or my neck of the woods. Here's what surprised me here looking into some statistics. Japan, it's one of Arizona's largest trading partners, as I said. In 2024, total trade between Arizona and Japan, it reached $3.7 billion. That was a high in terms of revenue between them. Arizona ranked second for metal ore exports and fourth for computer equipment and communication equipment exports to Japan in 2024. Japan was Arizona's largest export market for pharmaceuticals and medicines, third largest for navigational, measuring, electro, medical, and control instruments. They were second for metal ores and communication equipment also in 2024. Arizona was first for the industrial machinery imports from Japan in 2024, and Japan was Arizona's top import source for products for industrial machinery, and then basically multi general purpose machinery for to make it simpler than listing a bunch of categories out there as well. So big trade here between Arizona and Japan, 3.7 billion folks between the two out there, and now we got a business, opening up there in Japan as well to kind of help more trade happen coming up. And that recent $10 billion deal where the U.S. government is basically going to buy equity about 10%. I think it's actually like 9.9, but about 10% equity in Intel, right? That was a few weeks ago we talked about that. Well, that deal, it's lifted the construction deadlines for Intel that they have to do for its CHIPS Act funded products. And that does affect Arizona now, right? They had deadlines to get done or they'd lose the money. That's now gone. So this agreement allows Intel to basically reallocate funds that were previously tied to those construction timelines. And it's happening alongside, that's the problem. It's happening alongside the layoffs with the company that Intel's doing out there. So this deal coincides, as I said, with those layoffs. And Arizona has some of those layoffs as well. It's a worldwide one, but Arizona's going to be affected. The company Intel continues to restructure and slow its expansion plans. So Intel's focus shift from the rapid build out of new factories to a more cautious approach is going on, which is now they're emphasizing existing facilities and ramping up production of their current chip processes. The focus that Intel's moving towards. But part of that deal with the government, no more restrictions on construction deadlines, lose the money if you don't do this by here. So they worked that out there, Intel did in that story. And then you like to gamble, not always like to go to Vegas. You like to check out some Arizona casinos because it's easier. Well, one of Gila River Resorts and Casinos' 4 properties, it's been ranked among the top 10 best casinos outside of Las Vegas. This is from a ranking that was done by USA Today. Gila River Resorts and Casinos, specifically the Wild Horse Pass version of it, ranked number 9 in the list that was released on September 3rd. It was the only Arizona casino to make the rankings. It's a level up, by the way, from 2023. That was when the casino was a runner-up for the best of category back then. Wild Horse Pass made the list for its over 1,300 slots, various betting tables, a BetMGM sportsbook, as well as exclusively offering hand-dealt double-deck blackjack and its high-limit saloon. Yes, that's what USA Today said they ranked them high for. If you don't know, Wild Horse Pass underwent a huge renovation, $180 million expansion back in 2022. That's where they added that 11-story Sunrise Tower that was already, the second one. The other one's called the Sunset Tower. That was there before. The expansion included a rebranding from the company. They went from Gila River Hotels and Resorts, of course, to Wild Horse Pass at that time. So it's got 445 rooms, 8 restaurants. Wild Horse Pass is a AAA 4-diamond awarded hotel that has twice been voted best casino in the valley. According to the casino's website, But also the Prime Steakhouse there at Wild Horse Pass, it was named Casino Players Best Dining and Nightlife back in 2024. Sheridan Grand at Wild Horse Pass ranked number one on Phoenix Business Journal's 2025 largest Phoenix area minority owned businesses. It has $65 million in revenues in 2024. It also ranked number 60 among the Phoenix area's 234 largest private companies based on that revenue in 2024 as well. So there you go, folks. If you haven't been, it is a spectacular casino. I don't gamble much, let alone at a casino here in Arizona, but it is a spectacular place to go to, eat, visit as well for them down there. And then, unfortunately, folks, I got to finish up here on this Friday with some bad news. Don't drive a lot this weekend and waste your gas. Yes, gas prices continue to rise in Arizona, an average of $3.56, 7 more cents up from last week. AAA comes out and they blame the continuing supply squeeze because refinery maintenance is happening and it's the season for that. And it makes the switch from summer to winter blend fuel, and that's the renovations and causing some shortages and price increases. So once that maintenance is done and the transition has happened, well, AAA says that we should start seeing prices come back down here in Arizona. They say that basically what you pay for gas is where you get it at. We know Maricopa County is the highest priced gas here in the state. Still is. $3.84 average here in Maricopa County. Before Yuma County was always the cheapest. Well, that switched here. Greenlee County is the lowest. Costs $2.95 for Greenlee County here throughout the state. So it's just where you buy it. If you do a road trip, buy it outside of Maricopa County. You'll save some money as opposed to in Maricopa County. And just these gas prices got to come down for everybody to help this economy out as well, as we just continue to deal with sticky inflation on the gas side of things here going into this weekend. So, hey, we're here to Friday afternoon. I appreciate you joining me here at McCollum on Business. We'll be back on Monday at 11 o'clock. We're going to get this posted on the YouTube page as well as, the YouTube page and on Robat TV as well for On Demand. Appreciate you joining me live, whether you're live or on demand, free on the YouTube page. Thank you very much. Hit up any questions on there. We love to answer your questions. YouTube getting it back up. I completely forgot. People can message on there, so I'll get better at that. Hit you up there as well. Of course, the text line 623-252-6670 for any of these shows as well. And folks, have a great weekend. It's going to be a cooler weekend, thank goodness. We'll see you on Monday, everyone. Have a great weekend.